Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking you through my kitchen makeover. As you can see, pretty dramatic makeover, but it was definitely on a budget. These are all the same cabinet doors, but we did get a new counter and a new sink, so they were pretty pricey, and we put in an electric cooker and hob. So let's get into how we created this. Okay, before we get into any of the fun stuff, got to talk you through like the structural changes. So as you can see there, we had a washing machine in our kitchen. We since moved that. Also, we moved around these cabinets, which I'll be able to explain to you now. So the fridge where it is there, we created a long cabinet, but we moved it to the right, and we moved that normal cabinet to the left, and the wall cabinet above it to the left also. As with all of the downstairs projects, this was one of the rooms we added parquet to. So we ripped up that laminate and we added reclaimed parquet that me and my dad installed. So there's lots of changes happening in here. So let's get into where I can show you where we changed the cabinets. Okay, so as you can see here, there's now a tall cabinet to the very right because the fridge like breaking up and then having one cabinet with a wall cabinet above it didn't make any sense. So yeah, that's what we've done here. Here is the parquet floor. As you can see, we had a glass wall cabinet to the very right and we filled that in. I didn't do it myself, got someone to do this. So we have the tall cabinet door and we got the glass cabinet door filled in so it's a normal wall cabinet up top. And then we also got a new door for the bottom cabinet there as well because we needed the door over by the dishwasher. Hopefully that all makes sense. So all of those changes with the cabinets was just to maximize storage. Here you can see we've taken all of the doors off and we have an awful lot of storage in here now. We needed the storage and we also moved the fridge to the wall where we actually removed a window. There was a glass window into the extension from our sitting room. I think it was the old external window. So we covered up that window so that we could put a fridge against that wall. Okay, after I took all of the doors off the cabinets and the little drawer fronts, I gave them a good clean with some crud cutter, and now I'm just going in with my sander and a pretty heavy grit sandpaper because the varnish was like chipping off, so I needed to remove everything. I'm doing the front and the back, and then I'll hand sand any pieces my sander won't get into. So I'm just using some filler here to get rid of any little marks, especially on the drawers. There was a lot of marks. Also, the little knobs that were on these left a few extra little marks, and I need to get rid of them because I'm just doing small plain knobs on these, without the like decorative plaque type thing they were on. So yeah, here I am sanding, hand sanding the pieces where my sander wouldn't fit. Um, there's a lot of work in the sanding, more than I anticipated because the varnish was just chipping off, as I said, but it was like once you started, you had to get rid of all of the varnish. Like you couldn't just scuff the surface and go ahead and prime. You actually had to remove everything back down to raw wood. So the paints and supplies for this project were gifted by Paintlab. Definitely check them out. I'll link their website below. They have some amazing products. These are the different wall paints. I use these as testers. I actually got some Farrow and Ball colors mixed in this range, and these are the colors here that I'll be using on the cabinets. So I really wanted to do something different with this kitchen. I did play around with using some pattern on the cabinet doors, but I just didn't think it looked right. So I decided to go for just a few different colors around the kitchen. So you'll see them all coming together later on. But for now, I'm using the primer by the Juno range as well. I think it's the multi-stop primer. And I'm just using two Fuzzy Blokes rollers and I'm just priming them. So before I prime them, I also used a duster you'll see there and some tack cloths just to remove any residue from the sanding. And yeah, sanded the filler that I did as well and just made sure that there was no dust or residue left when I was priming them. It was so nice to be able to work out in my garage again. I worked out here when I was doing the parquet flooring as well, when I was cleaning the different tiles. And it's just so nice to like leave the mess behind, like work on something, leave the mess behind and come back to it the next day. So it was great for doing the cabinets and I was able to lay them all out and make sure they were all drying without touching one another and all that jazz. So yeah, really was amazing to have this space. I don't know what I would have done without it, and feel very lucky to have had this space. I think my floor would be even more covered in paint than it already is if I didn't have this. So yeah, next up was caulking, because obviously these doors were wooden before, they weren't painted, so there's no need to caulk them obviously when they're put in, but now when you paint them, there's like an obvious gap in between the different I don't know what you call them, moldings. So there was an awful lot of caulking. I think I did 2 or 3 goes of the caulking, then I'd paint them, because it would just sometimes it would fall through the gap and stuff, and it just wouldn't look good. So yeah, so baby wipes were my best friend for this. I find them really, really good. Just using a baby wipe to remove all the residual caulking. Caulking or caulking? Anyway, I say caulking. Um, I will pop a picture of this paint on the screen. It's actually really interesting. It's a polyurethane paint, so it's super durable and it goes on like a real spray-like finish, like a really fabulous finish. And it's matte, so it's absolutely gorgeous. Have no problems with my cabinets the months on. The only problem I have is that the yellow is staining easily, but that's more of a color issue than the pink, color issue, sorry, rather than the paint issue. I think it's just the color I chose is for some reason not very good for getting rid of the old stains, or maybe I just need to be cleaner, you know what I mean? I will admit that. When it came to the little panels inside the doors, I would use a brush and then I'd roll over the top and try to roll as much of the surface as I could to try and make sure that all of it is just laying down flat and looking good. It was very exciting at this stage to finally get some colour on, because I think I was working on the white, so you'll see later on, but there's a lot of white cabinet doors as well, because the idea was I wanted the top half of the cabinets, sorry, the wall cabinets to be white, and I did the walls white in the kitchen as well, so that they sort of wouldn't like be sort of prominent when you go into the kitchen, because I didn't want to do open shelving. I know so many people are doing open shelving, but I just needed the storage. I like to cook. I like to have like a lot of ingredients on hand. So I'm not a minimalist in my kitchen whatsoever. So as much storage as I can possibly get. I'm not a minimalist in any way. I'm trying to get as much storage in my house always, as you might have seen with my sitting room as well. Storage was a huge thing when I put wardrobes into my sitting room. So yes, that is why there are white cabinets. Because I sort of don't want your eye to be drawn to them. I want it to still feel like a very open space. Um, so yeah, without the open shelving, because I just think that would be a nightmare for me. Like there's a lot of dust catching. I don't dust. Um, I don't know any sane individual who spends their life dusting a lot. Anyway, these are the colours. Very happy with the colours. I'll have to list them in the box below because I don't remember the colours. Yeah. This took forever to paint all the cabinets. The pink and the purple didn't need many coats at all. As you can see, the coverage is amazing. Unfortunately, I stupidly did a grey primer underneath the yellow ones, and I think it would have been way quicker if I just did a white primer. Usually I would do a grey primer under yellow because it just takes to it a lot better, but because this is polyurethane, I think it just came through it completely. The coverage is really good. I think yellow can just be a pain in the hole, to be honest, but I should have done white primer, I think. But look how good these colours are looking together. I couldn't resist putting them up to see them together, but they were nowhere near done at this point. So here I am painting the walls of the kitchen, and editing this video is very hard because that is our dog Bodhi, who's running in and out, who's since passed away, and it's very sad. But anyway, if I start talking about that, I will cry. So let's stick to the kitchen, please. Yeah, so here I am painting the walls white. They were blue, so that was difficult. I need to stop this voice recording now because I will cry. Anyways, with the walls, I had a lot of filling to do, and they needed a lot of coats to kill that blue paint, unfortunately. Here I am cleaning the double doors using crud cutter again. This stuff is brilliant for just like really old woodwork. Just in general, crud cutter is amazing for cleaning or for painting. Um, I would really recommend for really dirty projects like your kitchen. So I'm using crud cutter again on all of the window panes as well because I'm going to be painting the window frames. So I cleaned them all, make sure I gave them a good wipe down and gave it a sand. And now I'm just going in with the multi-support primer by Juno Prof as well. And this is from the Paintlab as well as everything else. So yeah, I'm just using a roller to apply this because it's just a lot quicker, and these doors take forever and ever to paint. Okay, next I'm going in with a color called Blue Ground. Again, color match from Farrow and Ball, and I'm using this on the rad, and I think I use it on one of the internal doors as well. But then I will be doing different colors on the windowsill and the windows. So everything is just going a little bit different, and at this point it was getting really exciting because it started to look like a children's TV show set, which like obviously that's my goal. Also, can we just talk about how good the coverage is on this yellow when the base underneath is white? Look how good that is. Yellow can be a really tricky colour to paint with, but this paint is great. So here I am painting the double doors also. As you can see from the previous video, I didn't even have the stained glass effect on them yet. So these are in my sitting room video. If you want to see how I did the stained glass on these doors, check it out there. This side isn't as, I don't know, vibrant, because the sheets of the vinyl are on the other side. But this was the color that I thought looked the best, but it doesn't really work with those paints. I would consider changing it, but who has the time? So here you can see all of the colors together. So we've got white on the walls, yellow windows on this side of the room, purple windowsill and skirting board, and then the blue ground radiator. I just think it looks so good. It's so happy. Oh yeah, and there's the blue on that door as well. Yeah, I just love all these colors together. Next up, I'm removing the tiles, just using a chisel and a hammer. These are really easy to get off in this section, but like around a corner and stuff, there seemed to be like way more tile adhesive used, and they just came off in like tiny, tiny bits, but it was fine. Did eventually get there in the end. I actually put this job off for like a week, and it probably took me like a half an hour. So here is a look at the splashback removed and all of the doors still off. So now I'm just emptying out the kitchen to get ready for my dad coming over, as he is going to help me removing the counter and doing like the more difficult pieces, like putting in a new sink. Oh, hi Bodhi, love you. Yeah, so everything is cleared out so that we can remove the counter, install the new counter, the new backsplash, and look at the chaos. The absolute chaos of doing a kitchen is just insane. So this is just us removing the counter, which came off quite easily. We just unscrewed all the screws underneath, and took the plumbing out of the sink, I guess that's how you would say it, and took this outside so that we could move on to cutting down the new counter. My dad can genuinely do anything. Like it's crazy, but like he knew how to like take the sink out, and then we were able to plumb the new sink in. It was very, very impressive. Anyway, here is the countertop we will be installing. Got it from the paneling center. It's white with like a really nice like stone effect on the top. I really like it. So we had to get an extra deep counter so that it would actually like sit in um to where the sink goes. If for some reason it's extra deep, but we actually probably didn't need it in the end. I'll talk to you about it later. Very depressing. It was very expensive to get the extra deep one, by the way. And that was the bottom side of it, and my dad is cutting it with his skill saw and a guide. It put this under insane pressure because it's way too thick, I think. Or maybe we had an old blade. I think we bought new blades actually for this, but it really couldn't handle this at all. It kept overheating. The smoke alarm went off. We had all the windows open and it looked like my house was like breathing. Like all the smoke was coming out of all the windows. It was insane. I'm surprised no one called the fire brigade. But yeah, so there is the first part of the counter in, and I just love it so much. I wanted to get a light counter because the counter in here was black, and I just felt like it really took away from the whole thing. So yeah, I love the brightness this adds. So the splashback is also going to be the same as this counter. And here I am just installing the sink. So what we had to do was drill a hole so that we could get our jigsaw in and then jigsaw around the shape we have from the template from the sink. So we got a Belfast sink, 1.5 bowl, and I love it. It was insanely expensive, really, for like this budget type thing. I really should have went for like a cheaper sink, but yeah, I just couldn't get like I couldn't do silver. I hate chrome so much. I couldn't do another chrome sink. I'm so sorry. I just couldn't do it. For every new skill I learn, you'll see my dad come back to it and fix it, or else show me how it's done properly. So here's my dad doing the same thing. So all my footage is me doing it and then my dad doing it. But this is actually grand. I didn't think I'd be able to do it because I find it really hard to control the jigsaw, but I'm getting better at it doing these type of things. But it's very nerve-wracking when you're dealing with something so expensive. Like you can't really mess up your counter, obviously. But yeah, my dad made it look really easy. So here is the piece coming out for the sink so that the sink will fit in. We were lucky that the cabinets underneath were cut out perfectly so that it would fit in. I think we didn't need to change anything. So next you'll see the sink in, and now we will need to remove where the tap goes because this sink, I think it can work either direction. So that's why you have to remove where the sink goes because it's sort of like thinner there and you can just chisel it out. My dad is slagging me here because I was so nervous to do it, and he was like, "Why'd you do that?" But yeah, it was fine. And here's my dad doing the job correctly. But yeah, you can see you have to chisel out a little circle, and it comes with a little template of how big the circle should be, so that you can fit your tap on that. So here my dad is securing all the plumbing and stuff, and he showed me how to do all this, and we just like followed all the instructions, and it was super cool. Okay, here's the sink. As you can see, the tap is bronze. Very upset that I can't get chrome like sink drain covers. If you can tell me where I can get them, please do. But I can't find any for this specific sink, so let me know if you think that's something I can get. Because it wrecks my head. Like everything in my house is gold or bronze or whatever. I can't stand chrome. Next up is this little problem area we have at the window behind the sink. So as you can see, part of the like window ledge from the outside is inside. That's all the only way I can describe it. So we're going to need to cover it up. So we got a piece, an edge piece of the counter, and we got rid of like the inside so that it will sit perfectly over that window ledge bit. This was on my kitchen previously as well when with the black countertop, but we thought maybe we'd be able to avoid this time because obviously you don't want moisture collecting there and it's not ideal, but this was what we had to do. So yeah, so we put it there so that it matches the countertop, and then we will secure it all and like silicone and everything. So yeah, we had to solve the problem somehow. Okay, the cooker. So this was a huge error we made when putting down the parquet floor. We did not account for the fact that we might want to change our cooker down the line, and we had a gas cooker. So we decided to replace it with an electric cooker, but that meant we had to run the cables somewhere. We had to run the cables from upstairs down to the cooker, down to the middle room, into the sitting room, sorry, and then through the wall into the kitchen. So that was messy, and then we had to do it through the wall. So this delayed us an awful lot because we couldn't put up the splashback until this was sorted, and we had to get an electrician in and various bits and bobs. It just delayed us an awful lot. But yeah, we're glad we did do it because the other cooker wasn't great, and it looks a lot more seamless and easier to clean with the hob. Okay, next up is the splashback, and it's the same material as the counter, but it's just a lot thinner. So the skill saw was well able for this job, thank God. So there is one join on the splashback, but we put it towards an area where you don't really see it, so it's actually fine. So yeah, it's not too bad. So here my partner and my dad are just offering the splashback up to see what it's going to look like. As you can see to the left there, we need to add a little piece, but we were just checking it fit, and then we needed to cut out holes because we've got some plug sockets here that we need to make room for. So yeah, so here we are after we've cut, I think this is the next day, we cut the plug sockets out, and we're just gonna put it in, and we've put some glue in, and now we're trying to get the splashback in. So we also got rid of our kicker boards when we were doing the floor, so we are just painting them and getting them back in. And also at this point I had to paint the carcasses, you know, like around the frame, because I had wanted to wait until the counter was in because I knew it would just get destroyed. So here all the carcasses have been painted, and now it's time for the cornice and pelmets. Don't ask me which is which, I can't remember, but here we are drilling them in. This should have been like a super easy job, but I remember we were so tired at this point that we made an absolute balls of every piece we tried to cut and tried to get angles. And it wasn't even like complicated angles, it was just like corner angles and all that jazz, but we just couldn't think. So next we're putting back on the cabinet doors. How exciting. As you can see, these are the white cabinet doors on the top, so they sort of sit back into the wall because the wall and the ceiling are white, and the splashback is white. And then the bottom cabinets will be the fun colors like pink and yellow and purple, so it's so nice. So yeah, very excited to be getting these doors back on at this point. Okay, this idea came to me one night when I was trying to sleep, but I got the idea of getting like rainbow utensils and then like organizing them by rainbow color. So I like gathered a bunch of different color silicone and different things utensils, got them everywhere, got them in like Home Sense and online on Amazon and stuff. But yeah, super happy with how this turned out. I actually ended up moving it, so you might notice that the plug socket is behind it in one, and then it's never again to be seen. That's because I ended up moving it to a different spot because it was just lost with the plug socket behind it. Okay, I also want to talk about my electric hob. So when you get a hob, you get a cabinet with a little bit of a shelf underneath, and you can buy a drawer. There's the cabinet there, but the drawer is insanely expensive, and then you end up losing a lot of the space in it. I wanted to use this little section, so you can see it there to the left. I wanted to use that little section for pans and stuff. I just didn't want to lose any storage in my kitchen. So in order to use it for pans, I got some Velcro, which you saw in the first picture, and I stuck it to a little piece of wood that I painted in the pink, so it all went in seamlessly. You could also add a drawer knob or whatever, but I didn't bother because I thought it looked nicer without. So you can just see it here, and it's just very valuable space to just keep sheet pans. So it really finished off underneath the oven really well, and it also means that I get to use the space under the oven as well. So it's a win-win. So during this makeover, our fridge broke. We were not meant to buy a new fridge. This was a long time down the road purchase, but we ended up buying a ginormous fridge. And as you can see it here, it's chrome. You know I can't leave a chrome. It was such an eyesore, so I decided to wrap my fridge in vinyl. I'll link the website I used to buy the vinyl. The first lot of vinyl I bought was the wrong kind of vinyl. So for this job, you should be using vinyl for a car, because it has like some type of, I don't know, magic in it where the bubbles are able to be gotten out really easy. So this vinyl I'm using here is the incorrect vinyl, but it actually worked fine on the sides of the fridge because there was a bit of texture to them. But on the smooth surface of the front of the fridge, it did not work whatsoever. So you can see here, it's just not going on very well. There's lots of tears and there's lots of creases that I couldn't get out and a lot of bubbles as well. It's very hard to do at the best of times, but using the wrong vinyl, I swear to God, this, this project nearly broke me. So here I am using the correct vinyl, and I'm also using a hairdryer to help heat it up. And when I'm moving it and stuff, it went on a lot easier, but it still wasn't like perfect, and I definitely didn't do an amazing job by any means, but it looks a lot better. The right hand door was more important because I'm actually covering up some of the left hand door, but I did get it pretty good in the end. And then I covered, you see those silver bits that are still showing there, I ended up covering them in vinyl as well, just later on. Okay, so this is what actually makes it look so cool. So I got this stripe from Made of Sundays, I think they're called. They do amazing printed vinyl. It's not as durable, so you couldn't do your whole fridge in it, but because this is to the side and it's not where our hands will go, it worked out really, really well. Look how cool that looks. And I've got a little calendar there. Just look how cute that is. I'm so happy with how this turned out, and it just meant that I didn't have to look at an eyesore all the time. There's a little sneak peek of the full kitchen. But yeah, I think I'm not 100% happy with the fridge in terms of I wish I went for a lighter color. I love the stripes, but I wish I went for a lighter color overall. Okay, so now it's time for the full kitchen reveal. Here is a reminder of the before, and here is the after. I definitely either want to source new chairs or paint the black leather ones I have because they're definitely killing the vibe. So I'm super happy with how the cabinets turned out, and I did little gold knobs on the white cabinets above and then little wooden ones on the ones below. I also added pops of mint with this guitar my boyfriend had from when he was a teenager, and a mint coffee machine and little mint shelves. So cute. Hope you like my kitchen makeover, guys, and I'll see you next time.